Hello all. This is the last lecture of power plant instrumentation. Up till now, we have learned the various aspects of power plant design, various costs related to power plant, various types of measurement in any power plant system. Also, inclusion was done accordingly based on measurement of air fuel circuit, then measurement of impurities in water and steam, measurement of temperature and pressure in water and steam, etc. So basically, this last lecture will be dependent upon the remaining parts of the power plant instrumentation, so that we can conclude this about topic. And also, we have seen in the previous lecture the measurements in air fuel circuit, which was related with only the oxygen analyzers. Also, after that, we have seen the various types of devices which measure smoke, then which measure dust, etc. So today's topic is related with the process of chromatography. So chromatography is a method of physical separation of components in a vapor mixture or liquid mixture. So first see that when we are going to measure a particular quantity of any fuel, for example, let it be a solid fuel, then liquid fuel and a gaseous fuel, then basically the first thing which we have to do is we have to measure it in terms of composition or volume. That is, the volumetric analysis or gravimetric analysis is to be done. So based on that, this process known as chromatography, which will be the process of separating the mixture or a liquid mixture into a various types of individual components. Because if we are having a certain vapor mixture or a liquid mixture, we have to just see that what is the percentage of which type of component, and therefore we have to physically separate the mixture. It is done based on the difference of absorption of substances between two phases, that is a mobile and a stationary phase. So this chromatography can be done in between two phases also, which are considering a mobile and stationary phase. This mobile and stationary phase means the phases of the mixture in liquid or vapor. Though chromatography is very popular in petrochemical industries, it is also employed in thermal power stations to a limited scale. So mostly this type of process is seen in petrochemical industries, because in that type of industries we require continuous phase change of the from vapor to liquid or liquid from vapor of the mixture. Chromatographs are normally used to analyze the components present in fuel. They are broadly classified into two types, namely gas chromatograph and liquid chromatograph. So there are two types of chromatographs, namely based on their liquid structure or the matter structure, they are classified. Though both are fundamentally same, gas carrier is used in gas chromatograph and liquid carrier is used in liquid chromatograph. So we'll go to the next slide. Online monitoring of different components in a gaseous fuel is done by gas chromatograph in a power plant. So here we are taking into consideration our first type of chromatograph, that is a gas chromatograph. And during this, as we have seen that for the measurement of any quality of gas or the quantity of gas or the uh, component in a particular gas sample, online monitoring is more important. So this online monitoring can be done with the help of a gas chromatograph. It can be also used for flue gas analysis, as we have explained just now. Flue gas analysis can be chromatographs can be used for flue gas analysis. It is expensive but provides precise compositional information. In gas chromatograph, the sample gaseous mixture is transported through a column. A solid adsorbent or liquid partitioning agent is used as a stationary phase. A gas is used as mobile phase. During transportation of the sample gas along with mobile phase, the stationary phase retards the various components of the sample at different rates. So during the flow of the gas, and when the chromatograph is plotted for a particular gas sample, first consideration is done that if stationary phase is there, then a solid adsorbent or liquid partitioning agent will be used, and that gas will be used as a mobile phase. And if the stationary phase is there, then that stationary phase will be retarding the various components of the gas due to the stationary phase, because the density of the gas may be lower at one end and it will be changing during the flow. So during flue gas analysis, this gas chromatograph will help us in a high manner in order to find out the particular various types of components in the flue gas sample. Again, going to next slide. Adsorption, solubility, chemical bonding, polarity, and molecular filtration play a very vital role in retardation process. Now, why this retardation process is required? As explained in last slide, that the actual components which are there in the gas or the flue gas flow process, then the various components will be separated at each and every point. So this retardation process is required. The components get segregated into different zones or bands and move through the column at different rates. The detectors are used to detect and characterize these bands at the column exit. Then the individual components produce series of signals and are recorded as chromatogram. A typical chromatogram is shown in the figure. The area tinder the peak represents the quantity, and the time delay from injection point identifies the component. So see that in next slide we are going to see the typical chromatogram, and in that the peak area represents the quantity and the time delay from injection point identifies the components. So see this is a gas chromatogram, and you can see that on the y-axis we are keeping the concentration of the particular flue gas, and at there are three injection points. The three injection points means the points at which the flue gas will flow from the process. So at first injection point, you will see that we are getting a peak point as 1, which is lower than the peak point 2. So again, after achieving a peak point 2, again the process is retarded up to peak point 3, and then the process is ended at peak point 4. Similarly, after the peak point is ended at point 4, the second injection is starting, means the time, that is the time interval. After that time interval, second injection is starting, and after that again you will see that the 2 attains a peak point. So this defines the quantity of the flue gas which is going inside the system for measurement and separation of the components. Now next is a block diagram shown here, that how the recording of the chromatogram takes place is, first there is a sample of carrier gas. So carrier gas cylinder will be there. Either the carrier gas will be of any type, that is helium, nitrogen, argon, etc. Then it will be passed from a pressure and flow regulator. So that will be nothing but a valve which will regulate the pressure and flow of the gas. Then this gas will be entered in the temperature controlled column. A column will be there. That column will be nothing but a particular solid constant box of the particular area, and there the temperature will be maintained as constant, and a sample injection of the system will be done, and then the chromatogram will be detected and it will be recorded and it will be displayed on this particular screen. So the continuous supply of carrier gas, that is normally nitrogen, argon or helium, forms the mobile phase. Carrier gas is passed from a cylinder through pressure and flow regulators to the column, where it carries the sample gas injected along with it through the column. Then sample gas is injected by a syringe mechanism. The sample mixes with carrier gas and passes through chromatographic column, the heart of the chromatograph. So here you can see that this is the recorder. As we have explained, the gas is going to pass through the system, and therefore the chromatograph will be detected, and then it will be converted into a chromatogram. Then it is here the retardation of different constituents takes place when the sample gas moves with carrier gas along with the solid stationary phase. The column is maintained at a temperature which decides the delay of different constituents before reaching the detector at the end of the column. The detector and recorder help to record the chromatogram. So here see that when this gas, that is the sample injection is passed through this temperature control column, the retardation is starting at one point. Means in the last slides we have seen that there are 4 points, 1, 2, 3 and 4, which are giving us the actual process of the retardation of the different constituents. So therefore it is this area where the retardation takes place, and this is detected by this detector, and therefore this detector will give us the signal to plot the chromatogram. Now after gas chromatograph, we will see a liquid type of chromatogram here. Now here in this, there are several types available, but first important is the high pressure pump. So in liquid chromatograph, a high pressure pump is used, and the solvents which are in the mobile phase will be pumped with the help of this high pressure pump, and it will be sent to this HPLC column, that is the high pressure level column, that is, or high pressure liquid column. And at the same time, when the high pressure pump is passing this liquid to this column, the sample injector will be provided, and again therefore there is a segregation of different constituents. Again this segregation will be detected by the detector, and it will be sent to the again recorder for plotting the liquid chromatogram. There are different types of liquid chromatograms available commercially. We are only discussing in this about high pressure liquid chromatography, that is HPLC column, which is similar to gas chromatography. Here the liquid sample is forced through a column along with liquid mobile phase, and the components are physically separated and detected at the end of the column. So this the figure is showing the block diagram. We have drawn a simple block diagram representing the liquid chromatograph. The liquid mobile phase is formed into HPLC column by a high pressure pump, as we have seen in the working. The sample injector injects sample into the column, which is then carried by the mobile phase liquid. So when the sample injector is injected at the end of the high pressure pump, so this sample injector plus the solvents will be carried in the HPLC column, so that the detection will be done when the constituents are separated. The components of the sample are physically separated in the column during their passage along the stationary phase. The detector senses these components as they come out with associated time delays and then recorded. So therefore, there will be some time taken by the detector in order to see at each and every point where the separation of various constituents take place, and then it will give the signal to the recorder, so that with the help of the detected signal, the chromatogram will be plotted, and therefore a final chromatograph will be taken. Now moving to the next point, that is the last point of our particular power plant instrumentation point, is pollution monitoring instruments. So basically we know that there are various types of pollutions available in any power plant, or the power plant may cause various types of pollution. So the pollutions are of the types of air pollution, then water pollution, land pollution, etc. So first we are going to see the air pollution. The exhausts from powerhouse chimneys contain mainly carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, sulfur, nitrous oxides, and sulfur dioxides. So basically, these are the various types of exhaust from the powerhouse chimneys. And now these all exhausts are going to cause the air pollution. The powerhouses also throw fly ash, dust, coke particles, and smoke into the surroundings. While learning the smoke detectors, we have seen that when the coal is burnt, some particles of coal, that is the ash, when the coal is burnt, it is converted into ash, and this ash, some particles of ash are converted in fly ash, which are having very very low density, and therefore they fly away with the exhaust gas from the chimneys. So therefore this fly ash will be in the particles of the dust formation, and therefore this also will cause the air pollution. When some of the constituents react with moisture and air in atmosphere, they become some form of acids. So see that when this type of dust particles or smoke or fly ash is in contact with the air which is present in the atmosphere, some solid formation will be there, and this form will be in the formation of acids. When they are falling into the ground, it is called as acid rain. So see that this acid rain is caused due to the high amount of industrial revolution in the exhaust smoke created by the various industries, and therefore if this type of pollution is not controlled, then there are chances that acid rain may be caused. Acid rain may cause lot of bad effects. Gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur oxides, and nitrogen or nitrous oxides traps heat and releases into the atmosphere. So such gases are called greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are responsible for global warming and ozone layer depletion, which are known as a greenhouse effect. So see that after acid rain, such acid rains will also cause these various types of gases. But when these type of gases are released into the atmosphere, this will cause the global warming or greenhouse effect. The air pollution monitoring instruments are many. Smoke and dust monitors are also grouped under air pollution instruments. And also, if you want to see detail about the smoke and dust monitors, you can refer our lecture of power plant instrumentation, lecture number 8. We have made fully clear concepts regarding smoke and dust monitors. The techniques like infrared absorption, then gas chromatography, ultraviolet absorption, mass spectrography, etc., are used to measure the constituents like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur oxides, and nitrous oxides. Then, after air pollution, the major type of pollution from a power plant may be a water pollution. Effluent discharges from powerhouses may pollute the water sources in and around them adversely. Now, see, there are various types of chemicals which are used only one time in the power plant systems, and after that, they are of no use. So, therefore, these chemicals are directly discharged into the water which is available nearby the industries. So, therefore, these pollutants will be causing the water pollution. It poses health hazards to the people living in nearby places. The quantity of specific pollutants present in the water decides the quality of water. So, see that the quality of water is decided by the amount of the pollutants present in it. Elemental analysis, microbiological and bacteriological examinations, then radiochemical analysis are used to determine the quality of water. As the water is polluted in more manner, so therefore there are various chemicals which are included in the water which determine the quality of water. So therefore, the modern instruments for the same purpose include atomic absorption spectrometer, gas chromatograph, polar graph, and thin layer chromatograph. So again, we can use chromatographing systems for determining the quality of water, and therefore this water pollution may be controlled with the help of this type of instruments. Then another third type of pollution is the land pollution. It is the after effect of water pollution. So see, land pollution is connected in terms of water pollution, and therefore the chemical or hazardous materials soluble in water are carried away and get deposited in the land nearby. So when the water pollution is created, it naturally pollutes the land because the chemical composition of the water is in such a way that it can destroy the actual chemical capability of the land. The soil finally gets contaminated. Hence, the treatment of effluent becomes necessary before they are let into water streams or lands. The soil testing and groundwater testing may reveal the condition of the soil and water. Such tests are to be conducted on regular basis to make sure that the contamination level is not going beyond safe levels. Now, what happens during the discharge system of the industries is the water is contaminated at a larger rate due to the amount of available chemicals. So as we have explained that due to water pollution, the land pollution will also be created and the soil content is lost. So if soil content is lost, then there is a loss of various properties of soil, and this soil will be also known as a contaminated soil. So generally in laboratories, the water pollution is or various methods are taken from laboratories to control the water pollution, and then we have to control the condition of the soil by testing. And last one is the noise pollution. No strict legislations are there for noise pollution like other pollutions. Steps are on to have legislations based on so many considerations. So see that while we are having a strict government rules and regulations for pollution monitoring instruments or the type of pollution created by the power plants, but there are as these power plants are located at very remote location, there are no any such guidelines regarding noise pollution because they are far away from the residential places. The identification of sound sources with time duration has to be given due considerations. Though 80 dB sound level is considered safe, 25 dB sound level only is accepted in power stations. The sound sources from pump stations include the FD fans, then ID fans, feed pumps, turbines, alternators, crushers, coal mills, and safety valves. So basically, these are the sources of the actual noise pollution in the power stations. Maximum sound levels are recorded during startups and shutdowns of the boiler because of letting out of high pressure steam. So mostly you will find that when the sound is maximum or noise is maximum during the starting point and the shutting point of the boilers, because the high pressure steam is to be taken outside the boiler, and at the same time high amount of feed water is to be taken inside the boiler. So at the time of safety valve setting, one can notice a considerable increase in noise level during the position of the or the employing a safety valve in the system. The noise pollution is to be created. So basically we have completed each and every point related to power plant instrumentation in our all the 9 lectures. If you have any suggestions regarding our lectures, you can post it on our YouTube channel. Also, I request all to subscribe our YouTube channel for getting more videos. Now the power plant instrumentation concept is completed. We are going to come with various more and more lectures related to engineering concepts. Thank you.